Hey, we got some good news. Yesterday, we talked about Aaron O'Toole getting the fucking heave-ho out of the conservative leadership. So we were just waiting for an interim leader to be named, to be voted in, until they can have a proper party leadership review, and that's going to be Candice Bergen. That makes sense. She was the deputy leader. Okay, she was the House leader. I forget exactly her official title, but she will be the interim leader. She is somebody who's been around the Conservative Party for a while. She seems to have the correct talking points. I've been aware of her for a while. She's a rather high-profile name that's within the party, and if you know, you know, and she's good. She's good, okay? Candice Bergen has been named the interim leader of the Conservative Party of Canada following the ousting of Aaron O'Toole earlier yesterday. Conservative MPs took to Twitter after the vote to congratulate Bergen. Our great country needs us more than ever as Conservatives. Yes, to be strong government in waiting. I'm looking forward to working with our new interim leader, Candice Bergen, as we hold the Liberals to account and stand up for the interests of all Canadians. Wow, I haven't heard that out of the Conservative Party in a very long time. You'll love to see it. That's coming from Scott Atchison from Parry Sound, Muskoka, somewhere in Ontario, whatever. Country is in desperate need of a responsible government. Looking forward to working with all Canadians under the steady hand of my friend Candice Bergen and the United. Wow, that sends quite a statement there. Conservative Party headquartership team, whatever. Okay, the Twitter handle is from rising star Melissa Lanceman with her questionable side shaved haircut. I don't really know who that is, but again, and even without reading the full tweet, which the Post Millennial didn't quote, okay, she's also thanking Aaron O'Toole. Why did he clean up after he left? Bergen beat out fellow MPs Rob Moore, John Williamson, Carrie Lynn Finley, John Broussard, Tom Kamek, Marilyn Gaddu, and John Barlow for the position. John Barlow was the guy who didn't cast a vote. He was the one MP who abstained, but none of those names really ring a bell outside of Barlow for that one simple reason. But again, if it's up to me, I want somebody who's strong. I want somebody who's outspoken. Bergen's fine. Bergen would be all right, but I want Pierre Poilievre. So yeah, we'll talk more about that when they have the official leadership conference, whatever. But like it says here at the bottom line, interim leaders cannot run for Conservative Party leadership. So she's just going to be there for a minute because I don't know if I've ever seen her. I think maybe she's run for the leadership once or twice before, but I've never seen her specifically stand up and say anything that I've necessarily agreed with. All I know is that she's supported the right causes, but that was prior to her standing up in the House of Commons and roasting old Prime Minister Blackface. You'll love to see it, but what's going on with the truckers? And what's going on with these impromptu protests that are happening? Well, there's the one that's happening right at the Alberta-US border that's down there, and you got some truckers just camping out for a little while, and Godspeed to them, because if it's anything like it is up here temperature-wise, because it's 30 once again, because of course, but then tomorrow it's supposed to be above freezing, because Canada's retarded weather, and mostly political-wise, but there's just a little protest going on with a few hundred trucks or something, but if CBC reports on it, it's probably just one truck. But regardless, they're down there at the border, okay, and they're making sure that people who want to come across are just aware of their presence. We'll go ahead and say that. And there's been some very unkind things done, but it's just very typical mainstream media tactics. Oh, these truckers are harassing and assaulting the police, which all of a sudden they care about instead of just calling for them to resign because they're all racist. Weird how they just flip-flop on their morals. The fucking strange people, huh? But no, RCMP adds more officers as it attempts to clear blockade at US-Canada border. Oh, I thought it was like illegal, and I thought that they should just be removing these truckers by force. Apparently, if they could do that, why exactly aren't they just doing that? Why do they have to add more RCMP members there? Oh, really fucking gets the old noggin jogging now, doesn't it? RCMP have called more officers to help remove the blockade by trucks and other vehicles at the U.S. border crossing in southern Alberta. The vehicles have blocked the path in solidarity with trucker convoys and have driven to Ottawa to protest the COVID-19 mandates and restrictions. The protest in Alberta has entered its 5th fucking day. And yeah, specifically of the protest and the size that's going on in Ottawa, no, I didn't see any reporting today. It seems like everything's still going on, but yeah, numbers are anticipated to be fairly vast for the weekend for sure. And nobody seems to be breaking rank so far. And they're like, we're going to be here until our demands are met. Drop all the mandates or Trudeau leaves. Why can't we have both? Police were prepared to start making arrests on February 1st at the Couts crossing, but say they backed off when there were safety concerns, or when they realized that maybe a peaceful protest and then just arresting truckers would look even worse. And this is Alberta, okay? Like, we're the Texas of the North for a reason. As much as we've been cucked out by Jason Kenney recently, that whole Western spirit is very much alive and well there. So if you start arresting truckers en masse, you better have backup. Just saying. Not a threat. That's just reality. And they know that. They know that. Police said some vehicles left peacefully, but others, including tractors, that's very Albertan, sped through police roadblocks to join the blockade. How does it, okay, a question, how does a tractor speed anywhere? Just asking. Police also said that there was a head-on crash and a person involved then assaulted another person. That didn't happen. Premier Jason Kenney, who should also just resign because he's a bag of shit, says he also opposes the vaccine mandate for truckers. Then why don't you just drop it for everybody? Because guess what? That's what they're down there for. It's to make sure that all of the mandates fuck off. But says the blockade is illegal. Why don't you do something about it? No, just send down more cops. And it's like, okay, cool. It's only going to get bigger for the weekend, you fucking mongoloid. And the protesters should find a lawful way to make their point. Maybe they are, because you aren't necessarily citing any law that they're breaking. Disorderly conduct, not obeying the lawful orders of a police officer, something like that, some nebulous term like that. Yeah, can't even bring those charges. Really gets the old noggin jogging now, doesn't it? Protesters say they won't leave until the mandates are lifted. All mandates are lifted. All of them. Every single one of them. National movement of truckers began after the federal government imposed a requirement for COVID-19 vaccinations for all truck drivers crossing the U.S.-Canada border. But they were also talking about, the federal government was also talking about requiring vaccines for interprovincial travel. For truckers, okay, because it's already a fact of life for anybody wanting to get on a train, anybody wanting to get on a plane, anybody wanting to use any sort of public transportation, whether that be Greyhound buses or anything like that. You'd have to show your papers to cross a provincial border within the boundaries, okay, of the Canadian border. You had to show your papers to literally move anywhere. So yeah, that's the update on that. But something else I wanted to update. You guys know that GoFundMe that's going on right now. Okay, when we first talked about it, okay, it was reported it was like at 3.5 million. Then we looked at it and it's like, holy fuck, it's over 5 million. And then the next time we looked at it, it was like over 7. Okay, climbing to 8. And then now all of a sudden they're getting really close to 11 million. Why is there no donate button? Oh, because it's under review. Again, why? Is it because GoFundMe suspended trucker convoy fund at $10 million, and now they're starting to anonymously refund some people who donated? Questions? I have questions. What exactly have they violated? Oh, you just have the wrong ideology. That's why this shit should have got set up on Give, Send, Go, which is an alternative platform. It's supposed to be a Christian fundraising platform, but there's no real need for ideology, or there's no real need for a religious slant to any of this stuff. But there is like pastors down there and indigenous native groups that are down there blessing the protests every day. So if that was in fact a requirement, it seems to be met through that, but whatever. But why do they keep fucking around with the money? Because GoFundMe is really screwed. But there's also reports that it looks like this is going to be another one of those temporary roadblocks, because GoFundMe has received a lot of attention for this, and especially for fucking around with them to begin with, where this could really be their Patreon moment, where if they fuck around with this crowdfunding effort and they just disperse it on nebulous terms, because it doesn't really seem like they've violated anything, and they can't really pinpoint anything either to stop them fundraising. So if they just decide that they'll just be committing an act of just full mask off moment, it's like it's going to look really bad for you, and it could have wide-ranging effects. So you better tread lightly on this one. With the multi-million-dollar Freedom Convoy fundraiser now in suspended animation, some donors are reportedly receiving refunds from GoFundMe. If that's the case, oh boy, are you guys fucked. Not the truckers, GoFundMe. On Wednesday evening, GoFundMe announced it was placing the fundraiser, which raised over $10 million in just a few weeks, under review. A statement released by GoFundMe implies its position on the convoy evolved as truckers and their supporters began converging on Ottawa January 29th. Okay, but you guys put this under review or something goofy like that before, and then everything was released then, so what changed now? Strictly prohibit users, user content that reflects or promotes behavior in support of violence. Can you point to anybody? Because we talked about the people that were arrested, and if you want to run back those arrests, none of them were violent. Somebody showed up with an undisclosed weapon, which it's of nondescript. It could be a flag on a flagpole. Wasn't using the weapon. It was, he had a weapon. And in Canada, they would have said gun if it was a gun. It would have been a knife if it was a knife, but it was a weapon. What exactly is a weapon? And if that's what you're going to be going on for violence, it's going to look awfully bad for you, especially when no violence has occurred. In this case, the organizers met our requirements, and the fundraiser did not violate our terms at the time of creation. GoFundMe said it kept in close contact with both the organizers and local law enforcement. Oh yeah, no, they... are you kidding me? Local law enforcement wouldn't lie about anything like that. No, the cops are just normally always 100% honest with people, right? No, they definitely don't engage in any sort of misdirective activity. No, that definitely doesn't happen. Especially when the other group is going up against their, big boss. Part of our organization gathering process, we also requested more information from organizers regarding the use of funds to ensure the fundraiser is still compliant with our terms of service. Yeah, they've been very open and very, very open, very, very honest with how they're going to be using the funds. Fuel money for the truckers, feeding the protest. That's it. That's all. That's all they're using it for. How does that violate literally anything? If that's all you're concerned about, I don't know what else you should be doing. When we do not receive a required information, we may put a pause on donations, as we did in this case. The statement makes no mention of refunding donors, and inquiries to GoFundMe for clarification went unacknowledged. This is from the National Post, not exactly some rinky-dink outlet, not like the Ottawa, Citizen's Eye or whatever some fucking local rag would be. This is one of the big news outlets, so interesting. On Thursday, Ottawa police issued a statement confirming that they'd met with GoFundMe officials. I'm sure that they told them the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? GoFundMe has paused fundraising on current demonstrations and is currently conducting a review to verify whether or not the campaign complies with their terms and service and applicable laws and regulations. Did one of your guys', prosecutors just magically make up one of those laws and just give you a nebulous definition where, these demonstrations, not peaceful protests, all of a sudden, fucking weird, their phraseology, because this has been a textbook example of that. Of just people organically getting together, and there's been no instances of violence. Okay, what, a couple of plants brought some fucking brand new flags? Cool. Still not violence, even in Canada's cucked state. I don't know what to tell you. It read, adding the police support the decision to halt the fundraiser. Of course they do, because they're big mad. Because they just want to go on their life and enforce their fucking mask violation rules. That was little comfort to the Convoy donor, Brad Meyer, who was puzzled to find an email from GoFundMe Wednesday afternoon informing him, without explanation, that his donation was being refunded. Email looks legitimate, and I just want to wait to see if it actually gets refunded to my credit card, he told the National Post. Then I will know if it's legit. Yeah, exactly. Like, it seems on the up and up. Like, it comes from support at GoFundMe.com. Okay. As far as I know, I've never used GoFundMe before, but that would seem legit. Okay. Screenshot looks fine, I guess. Okay. Like, nothing looks... And there would be no motivation to falsely... doctor something like this on the iPhone other than to just slam GoFundMe. But again, they don't give a fuck what Brad Meyer has to say. There's not enough J's and silent X's in your name. So Meyer's post on the AB Couts Convoy Facebook page, that's the U.S. border crossing specific page, by the way, on Wednesday sparked an immediate reaction, garnering hundreds of likes and shares. Yeah, obviously, because if that's going to start happening when they're just simply on a pause phase, really is cause for speculation. Others on social media also reported unexplained refunds. Just announcements that you're going to be refunded or actual refunds. Okay. Meyer's refund email appears legitimate. It's sent from a GoFundMe.com email address, referenced the exact dollar amount he donated, and lacked the customary click here to claim refund link, common in online phishing scams. Yeah, exactly. Like nothing seems out of the ordinary here. It's not like the please confirm your credit card information so we can properly reassess your refund. Nothing's misspelt, and there's no please, I'm a Saudi prince if you'd like to. None of that. Earlier this week, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson called on GoFundMe to disassociate itself from the Convoy and its fundraising efforts, adding the city is considering legal action to recoup the cost of policing of the nearly 2-week-long protest that snarled traffic and subjected downtown residents to 24-hour cacophony of air horns and idling big rigs. Now, they turn off their vehicles at night. Don't worry about it. I've seen videos of that too as well. And your cacophony of honking. Nice phraseology from that CBC videographer from yesterday. Just saying. Or maybe that's the mainstream line right now. But I guess a cacophony of honking is far worse than churches being burnt down or, businesses being destroyed. But I guess nobody could be hurt inside those businesses because they've been closed up for the past 2 years anyways. But this is totally up GoFundMe's lane. Okay, just anybody who's right of Mao on the political scale, they just get disassociated. When something gets so large, when something gets so popular and profitable, that's literally grassroots. Like, I don't know where this started. I don't know how it got as big as it did. I'm glad that it happened. But anything good like this happens on GoFundMe, it always seems to get fucked around and shut down, okay? But this is just the biggest instance of that so far. And $10 million, that's a lot of money, and that's no joke. Everything seems to be on the up and up, except for the political pressure. So where it goes from here, not entirely sure. But where was this same energy 2 years ago? Where was this same energy for the violent protests that were going on, for all of the fundraising efforts that were happening for violent criminals? I know that doesn't happen on GoFundMe. They're explicit on not raising funds for them, but for the families that are out there, those campaigns are still out there. That's totally fine. No, that's great. Free Jamal. He's unlawfully being prosecuted for burning down that racist business. I had no problem with that for a long time. No, of course not. Those are totally fine. Dante Wright, do you remember him? He was the guy who got tasered by Kim Potter in Brooklyn Center, Minneapolis, in April of last year. I need to get dates right and all that shit. He had a big old GoFundMe out there for to support his family. You know, the felon who was due to have a court date just after Kim Potter got sentenced. It would have been earlier last month had he had made it banana for shooting somebody in the head and paralyzing him. And he also had outstanding warrants as well. That's totally fine. Leave up those campaigns. Those are great. All because they support the movement, right? The movement trademark. I don't want to leave on such a downer. All's well that ends well, right? Well, some people were dumb enough to give to Black Lives Matter even in the early days when they're like, that's a good name and I do support Black Lives. I'm not a racist or anything like that. No, of course not. Everybody and their mother, if you guys could remember back to 2013 when they were out there, shooting police officers in the head and chanting pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. If you remember that type of stuff, you knew that BLM was full of Marxist subversionists who were just down here to disrupt the nuclear family and basically all of society, to overthrow it and install their communist utopia. Communist utopia, just African ethno-state, tomato, right? But it looks like they weren't being necessarily on the up and up, okay? They would have been violating GoFundMe's terms and services, apparently, of not being open and honest with how they were using their funds. BLM suspends fundraising as states question financial transparency. I am so shocked by this. Oh my god, BLM wasn't properly using their funds? What? Are you telling me that most of their founders and the ones that have retired have multiple mansions and nobody can seem to explain where all the money's coming from? Weird. The national arm of Black Lives Matter, BLM, is that how it's trading on the fucking stock market? On February 2nd, shut down all of its online fundraising streams shortly after the California Department of Justice threatened to hold the organization to account over its lack of financial transparency, which includes at least $60 million in undisclosed donations. So gross. Sorry. I had an old Jew in my throat. California and Washington states has recently prohibited BLM from collecting donations due to transparency issues, but it did not comply with those orders, of course, because mama gotta eat, right? The news outlet found last week that the charity appeared to have no known leader in charge of its $60 million bankroll since BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors resigned in May of 2021 to live in whatever property she wants. Cullors has been at the helm of Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, the legal entity that represents the national BLM movement, for nearly 6 years. We's take these matters seriously and have taken immediate action, a spokesperson for Bollingnuff told the Washington Examiner, who's doing this expose. We have immediately engaged in compliance council to address any issues related to state fundraising compliance. It went in a different direction. In the interim, we have shut down online fundraising. Have you really? As we work quickly to ensure we are meeting all compliance requirements. Yeah, but you're still accepting donations. Weird, huh? So remember, if you do shit that, the media says you're committing violence, you get your fundraising efforts forcibly taken down. But if you actually commit violence, if you actually commit burning, looting, and murder, arson, whatever the fuck happens, okay? If you're trying to fundraise for Chaz or CHOP, the Yellow Hill Autonomous Zone, okay? The Red Car Autonomous Zone, Skid Row in Los Angeles. If you're trying to do that on those platforms, they'll just kick the doors wide open until the government doesn't get a taste, okay? And then you'll shut it down. Just like what's happening in Canada. They're just jealous because there's a grassroots efforts and they've raised $10 million and the government's not getting a fucking taste of that. That's why they're shutting it down, because they're jealous. They're big mad. Never give up. Don't surrender. This weekend is going to be fucking wild, I tell ya. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.